going inside the issues of our community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
It's just out of control. And the police doing their best, you know. A lady in front of me got hit with a bottle from up top. That was the fourth bottle that was thrown, and one of them hit her. She got a bad back. She's upset, and her kids are upset, you know. She's trying to keep them calm from, you know. And this is Martin Luther King Day. He didn't stand for this. It's a shame.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. 2 weeks ago, on January the 15th, 6 local basketball teams played in the Martin Luther King Classic at the Cintas Center on Xavier University campus. Trouble in the stands resulted in additional police being called in and the arrest of 6 students. What does this tell us about planning these sorts of events, especially for high school age students? And what about the future? To discuss the intentions of the Classic, the nature of the Classic, and where the events are going, I am joined this morning by Ozie Davis, the sports editor of the Cincinnati Herald, Brian Leshner, the director of the Student Activities Foundation that sponsors the Classic, and Wayne Boxmiller, the host of primetime sports show on WDBZ, The Buzz, 1230. Welcome to everybody.
Welcome.
To Newsmakers.
Good morning.
Brian, let's start out. What is the Student Activity Foundation, and what was the goal here of this event?
Sure. The Student Activity Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit charity. Our mission is to increase and enhance extracurricular opportunities for students in the Cincinnati Public School District. One of our biggest events, our biggest event, is the Martin Luther King Day Classic, and it has several goals. One is to honor Dr. King. Another is to provide a venue, a great venue at the Cintas Center for a bunch of high school kids to come out and play basketball, cheerlead, be involved in the band. The third is to provide a place for students to go on a day off from school. And the fourth, of course, this is a benefit. This is a fundraiser for the charity to take this money that we make and apply it towards other things that we do during the year.
Let's be clear, your foundation, that's the name of it. You don't have some big endowment. You have to raise the money each year in order to do what you want to do.
That is correct. We have to raise the money each year. Last year we raised, our accountant just told me we raised $294,000 and we spent $288 of it towards helping kids with extracurriculars in the Cincinnati Public School District.
And Box wants part of what you got left.
Yeah, we're going to talk after the show.
Yeah. We all know that this good intentions, good idea for an event. Basketball is something that high school kids really care about, but things did not go well this year at a certain point. What does that tell us? What, from the outside, from somebody who you weren't the organizer, but you've been around high school sports for a long time, what's that tell you about something like this?
Well, first of all, it tells me it's a great event. I mean, anytime you get 7,500 to 8,000 people at an event, it tells you that people want to attend these type of events. So I think that we should table that. I think also what it tells us, though, is we need to take a closer look at how it's managed the day of the actual event. For example, I think that a lot of the problems probably precipitated from kids not being in their seats. And I think that when you look at the percentage, and it's a very, very, very minute percentage of people that got in trouble. What I don't want people to do is to look at completely doing away with something that the majority of people enjoy, participate in, and support because of the acts of a few. It's no different than a bingo game. It's no different than, unfortunately, there was just an incident at Sycamore High School.
Right. Just
GCL,
less than a week.
I mean, it happens everywhere. And I think that what we're doing, and thank you for having all of us on, is to start dialogue to work toward making it better.
Ozie, what about you? What's your observation about this event specifically, but the nature of these kinds of events and what's necessary and what makes them work or what gets them in trouble?
Well, I think what's been missing, particularly in the coverage, the news coverage, is the benefit that's gained by the actual student, the student themselves. That atmosphere for one of those high school basketball players is incredible. The opportunity to participate in an event at Xavier University on campus in front of 7,500, that far outweighs those few bad apples. And the coverage has been so negative and has missed that fact that those students that participated really, really gained a valuable day. And some of them will never play on a college campus again.
So getting that many people in a venue, it was 8,000, is that what you had?
Yeah, 7,500 to 8,000.
7,500 to 8,000. It's a big crowd for a high school game. Some of these schools have very tiny. I mean, one of the schools that played was Clark Montessori. I mean, I don't know what they can seat any place. But so it is this big crowd. It's exciting, and that sort of thing. Brian, a couple comments about organization. You've had 2 weeks to think about this. What's your reflection back now?
I think overall it's a great event, and I'm going to give you a few statistics that don't come out in the media that I'm privileged to see. Over 400 students were involved in this day, either as basketball players, as cheerleaders, as members of the band, as drill team. We had a What the Dream Means to Me essay contest that goes along with this day. Hundreds of children at those 6 schools were involved in the What the Dream Means to Me essay contest, and the winners were presented at halftime. Approximately 7,500 people showed up, and as Ozie said, for the Clark Schroeder game, there were 5,000 people there. I was down on the court. I was as happy as I've ever been. There were kids cheering. These kids have never played in front of a venue like that. Those are all the positive things. Now, what we need to do as responsible members of this community, we need to look and see what were the things that were negative and work on it. We're 50 weeks away from the next event. I've asked 4 of my board members, all respected people in the community, to convene a committee. Fox may be on it, Ozie may be on it, we don't know, we may ask you to be on it, to look and see what we can do to make this better. We want to involve children in this, we want to listen to them, we want to hear what their ideas are, we want to go to the whole community and find out how do we make this better. One
of the things that I have heard is that in the middle of this basketball event, there was a performance by a rap musician. And some people are saying that was the break. That's what changed the dynamics of the event.
You know, I don't know that it changed the dynamics of the event. I still say that you're dealing with kids. And I like adults now. We forget that we were kids. And we have short-term memory loss. We have long-term memory loss when it's convenient. But these are kids, and they're no different than we were when the Beatles were in town or another group was in town, and you had some kids that for that moment, you know, they wanted to be a part of that. Now, everything we're talking about can be improved upon and can be corrected, and that's the great thing about this. And we were talking outside, and on our sports talk show, we had this same subject matter. Jamie Mahaffey, the coach from North College Hill, said, if you get people together, I'd like to be a part of it. You know, Brian wants people to be a part of it. And I think the positive that comes out of this is you've got people in the community that want to look at this, build a better infrastructure, get the kids involved.
I was going to say, maybe the students should be involved.
One of the things that I would like to see, I really was disappointed, honestly. I was very disappointed with Winton Woods and very disappointed with North College Hill and those decision makers who said we're pulling out. Because I think you send the wrong message to the kids. There's a little challenge, a little difficulty, we pull out and run. No, teaching opportunity. We're going to get together with the promoter and we want to bring some of our student leaders and show them how you resolve things, how you come to the table and work through things, because I think the end is those students leave now saying, I had an adult moment. I saw adults getting together, looking at a problem, putting the things on the table, and I saw them resolve it, and that's something I can take with me.
As an old high school teacher, I know getting the students themselves and their input in the planning process can be very, very important. Any more thoughts about how to move forward here?
Well, first back to Sammy. I didn't know who Sammy was, but certainly the appeal of Sammy was felt quickly. And once Sammy hit the floor.
This is the rap performer. For those
I don't know if he's a rapper or he's an R&B singer.
Well, let's say he's an entertainer. Let's leave it at that. That's a safe word.
We're all too old to figure it out. All right.
And he certainly had appeal with the kids, which I thought was great. I mean, that took it to the students, which were the majority of the consumers, I guess to say. And that was great for them to have that function there. Now, of course, as Box is saying, with the infrastructure, there are things where you need to work on, and that's where Brian has started on that already. And, you know, maybe how we secure the facility is what's important.
Let's pursue that. Is it, what level of security officers, police, whatever, were planned for this and set up? And in light of what happened, was that an inadequate decision?
First, let me congratulate Xavier University and the Cintas Center. Everybody I worked with there, and this is the second year we've worked with them, and anybody who's associated with Xavier, an alum or a professor there, anybody in the administration, the students should be very, very proud of this program that Xavier has offered to let us use for 2 years. Xavier tracked ticket sales on a daily basis, and security was adjusted according to ticket sales every day. I'd get a phone call and they said, well, we got this number, we feel that we need this amount. They're a professional organization. So security was well in line. Everyone who walked in was wanded, which was the responsible thing to do.
Wanded with a hand wand looking for weapons?
Weapons, contraband, anything that shouldn't be there. Security was our first focus, and Cintas worked on this incredibly hard. And let's remember, here we are again focusing on the 6 people that were arrested as opposed to the 7,500 who came in and didn't do anything wrong. We need to eliminate that. But in terms of security, they did a wonderful job. The Cincinnati police did a great job. There was a quote from Captain Gregory, who was there all day long, who said that it was a handful of hooligans. So we need to work on that, there's no question, but Cintas did a great job, and there was lots and lots of security there.
Should there have been more security, though? And will there in the future?
I don't think the answer, and I'm not a professional at this, on behalf of other people, but I think the question isn't more security. A policeman on every corner can't prevent crime anywhere in Cincinnati or anywhere in Hamilton County. What we may look at, some ideas have been floated, we may offer a lot of free tickets to adult chaperones to come. But in terms of security, they certainly did a professional job.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you have to look at is, this is my second year at the event. We've been involved.
Right.
I think you have to make the kids sit down. And you know, we can look at a lot of different things.
How do you do that? Now remember, you were a high school student.
Right. Well,
how do you do that?
Well, here's the option. You sit down or leave.
Okay.
It's real simple. You sit down or leave. Now, the security has been adjusted for the number of tickets sold, but quite simply, I think if you sit down this year with Cincinnati Police, with Cintas, with the Xavier Police, and you sit down and say, here's a plan that we're looking at. Is this feasible? Is this doable? And I think quite simply, as the kids come in, as the tickets are distributed to the schools, that this information is redundant. That if you come to this event this year, you will have to sit down or you will be asked to leave. And what that's going to do, I think a lot of the problems stem, being a kid, when you're walking around with your group of people and they're walking around and maybe there's some jealous eyes, or you're looking at my boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's little things. We know that. It's nothing like major where somebody has this vendetta and things of that nature.
Ozie, what do you think?
Well, I don't think the answer is more security. I thought it was adequate. I mean, I saw Xavier ushers, Xavier security, CPD who did a terrific job in my estimation. I think the answer may be how we secure the place, more strategic placement. A lot of the activities happened on the balcony, police were on the first floor. So some of the answer may be how we secure the place, additional security outside of CPD. CPD has its methods and operations. Maybe you bring in maybe the Nation of Islam or something like that have a different method of operation, and then you mix
and effective, those. And I think that should be noted. They have an effective,
right? A very effective
too.
I want to roll some tape here, and then I want to ask a question, because this is the sort of thing that people have seen. They saw the crowds after the fact milling around outside of Cintas. And I have to tell you, I heard this, people told me this, and I just want to get this right out on the table. But people say, oh, this is an African-American problem. This because it was an African-American crowd. This was an African-American problem. I just want to ask that straight up.
Well, it's not, and I think if you took that video footage and you split the screen and put a bingo game right next to it outside the stadium, you would see more on the bingo side than you would on this side. That's what people do when they go to events. They take their time about going in. Some mill around, some waiting on other people, some just decide, I'm not even going, I'm just going to come and hang out. It's what people do at sporting events all over the world. We're not soccer.
I'm not just
here,
talking about the
goodness.
milling, and I'm only got about a minute left. But I'm not just talking about the milling part, but I'm talking about inside or outside. Was this a problem because this was African Americans?
No, some people want to make it that.
And that's why I want to ask the question.
And I appreciate you clarifying that. Some people want to make it an African-American incident. It's not. Kids are kids. I mean, let's get a camera. Let's go over to Xavier. Let's go to LaSalle. Let's go to Moeller and go to Woodward and see what we see.
Ozie, quickly?
It's certainly not just an African-American problem. It's just a sporting event. These sporting events have these types of incidents all the time. It's maybe exemplified because black people don't have a lot of events for them at Xavier University
size,
where 7,500 people show up. So it may be exemplified, but it certainly isn't.
Brian, I hear, and I want a final question. It sounds like you're committed to figuring out how to do this better, but continuing it.
There's an unequivocal yes in that.
Okay.
There's no question.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming this morning.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for talking
Appreciate it.
frankly.
Thank you.
And good luck with next year.
Thank you very much.
Stay tuned. After the break, a discussion with people who are worried that the threatened closure of their school will have a big impact on a little town.
Love the school. They love the school. My third grader is an exceptional reader. She's almost reading on 7th grade level.
According to a January 8th letter from the pastor of St. Michael's Parish in Ripley, Ohio, parish leaders are recommending that the Archdiocese close the parish school. The explanation?
Financial. They say if the school stays open, within 7 years the parish would be broke.
Given the expense of running a school for a small parish, compounded by the economic difficulties the Archdiocese finds itself in the aftermath of the financial settlements for the child sex abuse cases and the sharp decline in support from the pews, it is not surprising about this recommendation. Other parishes, for example, Annunciation in the affluent Cincinnati neighborhood of Clifton, has come to the same point. What is different about St. Michael's is that 4 years ago, the parish received a $10 million bequest from the estate of a parishioner. To discuss what is happening in Ripley and its potential impact on the Brown County communities of Ripley and Georgetown, I am joined now by Tami Gibson, the president of the St. Michael's Parent Teachers Organization, and Gary DeFossee, a member of St. Michael's Parish. Welcome to Newsmakers. Thanks for coming up from Ripley. A beautiful drive on a winter morning, by the way. I hope it was enjoyable. Tami, how much input have people connected to the schools? You're the president of the PTO. Mm-hmm. How much input did you have in the discussions that led to this announcement?
We had none.
Were you even aware it was going on?
We did not. We weren't aware of it until January the 8th when we received the letters in the mail.
And since then, I presume that you have asked for information, the opportunity to talk to people, whether on the parish level, the diocesan level. What's been the response?
We've had no response so far. We have actually sent a form letter the 24th of this month, a couple days ago, requesting a meeting with the parish priest and the 2 committees that are trying to close the school. And we have given them a deadline because the decision is going to be made by the 28th. So if
what kind of decision is
the
made?
The decision to close the school will be made February the 28th.
At the parish level?
At the diocese level. This will be...
Oh, February 28th.
February
okay.
28th,
I was thinking we were... Okay, yeah. Gary, now, the financial side, there is this incredibly different twist here because there was this gift of $10 million made to this parish that seemingly ought to be going to help fund all of this. Why the sudden turnaround? It seems this parish ought to be in the best of shape compared to other parishes.
Exactly, and that's the sentiment of our parishioners at St. Michael's. In 2004, when we received the bequest, we thought that our school problems would be over, even though we would continue to do fundraisers to keep the school open. As a matter of fact, the decision was made to drop tuition. For 2 years, the students of the St. Michael and St. George parishes did not have to pay any tuition.
St. George being in Georgetown.
Yes.
A lot of your students come down from Georgetown, which is what, how far away?
About 20 minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes, okay.
Yes.
So seemingly, financial situation good.
Yes. So then, September of last year, the parents received a letter stating that the tuition would be reinstated. It shocked a lot of people. So some of the concerned parishioners then wanted to get some answers. We reviewed the financial report, and there were some things that just didn't seem to jive. So we got a petition with a lot of the parishioners signing it, and sent it to the pastor, asking for a sit-down with the pastoral council, the finance council, and himself to discuss why
This is back
we
in
had
the
to
fall.
do that. This was in October the 13th when we started the
Okay.
petition. We did receive a response by mail from the pastor, who stated in general terms that they followed the proper guidelines, but still we were not granted the opportunity to speak with anyone.
Gary, I've got to ask. I mean, I know Ripley because I've done some work down there on some of the historic sites, and I've spent some time and care about Ripley. This is a community of about just under 1,800 people. I suspect this is a pretty small parish. We're not talking about a huge bureaucracy here, right? I mean, asking for a time to meet with the pastor seems like that should be easy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, we had so much concern in the community, not just St. Michael Parish, but the community, that we, Tami being involved very deeply in it, had a meeting set up at the local high school. We had an overwhelming response. We had the superintendent of the public school system there, standing up and giving his support of our school at St. Michael's. We had a local Baptist minister who has never had any kids at St. Michael, got up and he had a standing ovation of his discussion and speech about how important it was to maintain the moral values out of St. Michael's School.
Tami, I want to be clear, you're not a Roman Catholic member of the parish.
No.
But your children
My
are there,
children
and there's
attend.
quite a few children who aren't officially, they're not Catholic, they're not part of the...
We have
the-
25 students who aren't Catholic, yes.
And what's the total size of the...
We have 86 students, preschool through 8th grade.
Okay, let me ask a couple of questions here. In talking to the representative from the Archdiocese yesterday, and the Archdiocese decided not to send anybody to the show. I made an offer. But in talking with them, one of the arguments is 86, is that what?
86,
86 students. It is just too small to justify a school. That anything under 150 is pretty, it's all but impossible to justify. Any response to that?
We've always been small. Actually, our enrollment has doubled in the last 2 years. When my child first started down there, we had 45 students. So actually, we have doubled in size.
So you've been in a growth mode.
Yes, we have actually been in a growth mode, yes.
The other thing here is, my understanding with this $10 million is that the $10 million is managed by the Archdiocese, not by the parish. I mean, it is in the name of the parish, though. The proceeds from that, the earnings from that, have to go to the parish, but it's managed by the Archdiocese. Am I correct on that?
That is correct, yes.
So do you get an accounting of that?
That is part of the financial report. Yes, the dividends from that, along with that, the principal itself is documented, and once again, the financial report indicates what interest we received.
Now, my understanding is that if the school closes, the parish is suggesting that it will help pay for students who are currently in the school to be bused to Maysville, Kentucky.
Right.
So we're changing states and
Right.
changing dioceses, by the way,
Exactly.
to St. Patrick's School. But, you know, the parish would help out with that. They'd
That's
pay
partially correct. Only for the Catholic students who attend the school.
The members of the
That-
parish.
Exactly. That does not
So,
include
for example,
the
your
non-Catholics.
children.
Exactly. We would be paying full tuition at the school over in Kentucky, yes.
And what do you just think about the idea of sending the children to Maysville? Now, again, that's another 20 minutes away?
Yes.
What's your reaction to that, just as a parent?
As a parent, if my children had graduated from St. Michael's from 8th grade and I had the option to send them to high school in Maysville, that would be my option when they were in high school. But they're not in high school, they're still in grade school. And I don't want them going to Maysville. I like St. Michael's.
And my understanding is that quite a few of your students come from Georgetown,
Yes.
which is already a 15 to 20 minute drive.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I have less than a minute left. What are you going to do? What's your course of action here?
What we would like to do, and as Tami indicated, we did send a letter to the pastor and to the members of the two parish councils and to the business manager. We would like to sit down and have them explain to us why We cannot make it with $10 million, and we did for 150 years. We were able to do it without that.
I'm just about out of time, but my understanding is that once the formal proposal was submitted to the Archdiocese, there's 3 levels of approval. You're saying by February 28th.
Yes.
We're going to stick with this. We'll follow this story. Thank you for coming in this morning and explaining this, because it says a lot.
you.
It
Thank
says a
you.
lot about the role of a school in a small community or in a neighborhood.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. These sorts of stories tell the story that are much larger about our region. Be sure to join us next Sunday to meet the men and the women shaping parts of our community for the future. Thank you.